our goal with this business is to develop leaders and to build an incredible organization that inspires people to come in here and do something that they wouldn't have normally done without being exposed to this type of culture. This is the Just Real Quick podcast, where we discuss how to succeed in the world of sales through confidence, discipline, and consistency. Are you ready to be intentional about creating more opportunities that lead to sales? Tune into this episode right now for the latest insights and strategies that will take your sales game to the next level. I'm your host, Jefferson K. Rogers. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Just Real Quick. Jefferson Rogers in the studio with Mr. Ty Ross here in the Draper office.
The Ty Ross.
The Ty Ross. Special treat for you today. We got one of the top performers in our group of coordinators in JKR Windows here to share some secrets, some tips and tricks of how he does it on a daily basis with his mindset, his attitude, his activity, and all the things that are helping him produce at a high level. Ty Ross, welcome.
It's good to be here. It's good to see you back in Draper.
Yes, sir.
Here at the office.
Thanks, man. I don't get to hang out here as much as you do, but
yeah. Well, I don't spend too much time here either because I'm too busy making money.
This is important. Yes, it's important. There's lots of important things that need to happen in the jump starts and as a team and the contributing to the energy around here, which you do phenomenally. But all the action, all the money is made on the streets.
Massive action.
Massive action. Are you a fan of Grant Cardone?
I'm a fan of Grant Cardone. He's obviously, other than the training here, I mean, he's kind of got me my foot in the door when it comes to the mindset of sales and just like everything all around. Like pretty much when we start, obviously, you know, we've got like the Grant Cardone, like the Cardone University, what do they call it? The new hire certification.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that stuff was so big. I mean,
was that your first introduction to him?
Yeah, actually, I'm not super familiar with like, you know, millionaires or investors, stuff like that. So that was kind of like a first for me. I mean, obviously, you know who Elon Musk is and stuff like that, but.
And that's, you know, my first introduction to Cardone was through, it was actually my uncle introduced me to him. He told me I needed to read the 10X rule. I was doing sales and I was struggling a little bit and we were talking about business and he says, you know, I'm listening to this book right now. Have you ever heard of Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
Never heard of him. This was back in 2017. And he says, you got to listen to this, dude. He's got such an energy and he narrates his own book. And so that was my first introduction to him. I listened to the 10X rule.
Yeah.
And I've been following him ever since. So I know him as more of like the sales trainer, motivational guy. But now what he's become more known as is kind of the investor, the business mogul, flying the jets and driving the Rolls. And big money guy. Oh man,
it's so funny too. Cause like when I like listening to him talk, I kind of like see myself. He's got like the same kind of energy as me when he talks. He's got like a little Southern twang too. That's a little bit funny. But dude, his energy is so awesome. And like kind of like seeing him in all those trainings, like hearing him talk about like how he goes about it, whether it's the massive action stuff or just like his personality and whatnot. I'm like, oh dude, I could do this. Like that's me on a daily basis.
I love that, dude. That's one thing that separates average and ordinary people from people that go on to do incredible things. And you're just in the beginning stages of this. But I felt the same way when I first started watching Grant Cardone, listening to his book, hearing his stories. It was like, if this guy can do it, like, why not me?
Yeah.
Like he's nothing special. He's just a good old boy from, you know, somewhere in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he's got the Southern twang to prove it. And he had a rough upbringing. He dealt with, you know, drugs and alcohol and addiction and all the same things that me and you have dealt with.
Yep.
And he's overcame it to do incredible things with his life. And why not me? And not everybody thinks like that, bro. It's unique.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. Eccentric, another good word for it. Like always wanting more, doing bigger and better than everyone else.
And I think that attributes to your success here because, you know, I don't get to spend a ton of jump starts with you, but when I am here and observing, you've got a notepad out, you bring the freaking notepad with you everywhere. You're hungry for knowledge. You're curious. You're asking questions. You're always interested in what's the next level for me? How can I contribute?
Yeah.
And it's it's almost like it, for whatever reason, with your DNA, your upbringing, your influences, your examples in your life, has created this habit for you. What do you attribute it to?
It's really just like it's been me my whole life. Like my favorite saying is, if you ain't gonna go overboard, don't get on my boat. So that means just everything in life. Like everything I do, I want to do it extra, whether that's work, if that's having fun, whatever it is, I want to do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And so like when it comes to work, it just like comes natural. It's like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to survive. Like might as well do a damn good job of it and, you know, blow everybody out the water. Like you may be better than me at the job, but you ain't gonna outwork me. That's for damn sure. And so that's kind of just, you know, I don't know where it came from. Maybe it's just my hyperactivity. I was diagnosed with ADHD in preschool, started taking Adderall in kindergarten. I've been on that train ever since I was little, always extra.
No kidding. I love that, dude. I'm actually in process of writing a book right now that's called All In. That's kind of for the same reasons, just like this mentality that at one point I was using for destructive purposes and it wasn't getting me anywhere.
Exactly.
Because it's the same kind of mentality, and you can either choose to use it for progress and growth and productivity. And a lot of us get stuck in the trap of using it towards destructive things. Yep. And it's true, dude. It's so cool how you can just point all that energy into a certain direction and you get ultra goal oriented and task oriented and action oriented and ultra critical of what you do with your free time and how much progress you can make in a short period of time.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is so you can see that, right? How, you know, if you put all your energy into the positive, like just as bad as the negative can get, it can get just as good. So it's funny to like see how I'm kind of like progressing on that train. When I started this job, my whole mindset changed and I was all about working hard. I mean, I've always worked hard, but like put all my foot on the gas when it comes to work. And now that just is natural for me. It's about becoming more organized, because that's my weakness right there. Is I'm the least organized person you'll ever meet. So it's funny to see how like I'm progressing and slowly becoming more organized. I mean, I carry around a notebook. Everything is, you know, scribed, like everything.
Keep track of it. Keep a calendar. Because one of the things that Grant Cardone says that sticks out to me from the 10X rule was the white space on your calendar. And I didn't ever use a calendar. It took me a couple of years still to start being able to get organized enough and to look at it regularly, so it was actually adding value to my life.
I ain't even there yet.
But the concept is that you leave white space on your calendar and it leaves room for the devil to creep into your life.
Oh, that's 100%.
Because if you're not doing something productive that you can focus all that energy and enthusiasm towards, you'll find something that's not productive, and then most of the time is destructive to your progress.
Always, especially with this personality type.
Yep, I can relate. So I would challenge you to start breaking out that Google Calendar and start toying with it and just mock up a calendar, like your daily activities. When you wake up, go to the gym, the things you want to eat, your daily affirmations, your goals. You can start putting some of those things on there and mocking up what a week would look like. Yeah. And then you'll be surprised how little by little it'll start to fill up, and you'll start scheduling meetings and you'll start having stuff pop up on there, and you're doing lunches. And
well, it's funny you say that. Like I think the second book that we read, so for those of you who don't know, as a company, we all read books. And we have like a different book for every month. The second book we had was The Miracle Morning. And
one of my favorites.
Such a good book, man. It like opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And I mean, to my destruction, I started out, when I started reading that book, I was like, yes, perfect. Like, I'm going to do this. Dude, for like the first 2 weeks, I woke up every morning at 5 a.m. I did my affirmations. I did my readings. I did my Cardones. I did my trainings, like all that. I did my visualizations. I did my workout. And like after the 2 weeks, I don't know what happened. Like it stopped. And as of, about 3 weeks ago, I used to be really big into the gym, and we got a guy on our team, Jackson, he's a bodybuilder. He's been like, dude, you got to get back to how you used to be. You used to be thick, blah, blah, blah. So now I've got a pretty good schedule going again. I need to perfect it, obviously. But wake up in the morning, kind of get myself ready, get to work, do the jump start, get hyped up for the day. I go out, I want to start my day on a good note. I go out there, get some contacts, and then we go to the gym. About 12 or 1 o'clock, we go to the gym.
Amazing.
Get it in every day.
You and Jackson going together now?
Yeah, whenever he doesn't have to train somebody, because he's also a trainer.
Okay.
If he's not training somebody, then yeah, we usually go together. Otherwise, I just go with Brooke. But I used to go to the gym with my dad when I first moved to Utah. After leaving Arizona, I went to the gym with my dad every morning at 4 a.m. And
No shit.
yeah, we went to like
serious. Because your dad's a previous bodybuilder too, right?
He's a current
power lifter.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast.
That's incredible.
If you ever see Matt Ross, stay away. He's a big man. But yeah, so I just need to get back into that. I'm getting consistent with everything again, which is good. But I need to, like you said, get a calendar going and kind of, what is it? Did Cardone say 15 minutes to plot your day out into 15-minute increments, or was it 30-minute increments?
So I think you can start small. So you start out 30-minute increments or an hour increments, but then what it does is it starts to evolve because every minute of your day is planned out.
Yeah.
So it turns into 15-minute increments, because in between the 15 minutes you have for, maybe you got a 30-minute meeting, you got 15 minutes in between. Then that 15 minutes, you've got other tasks that you're filling that up with phone calls and follow-ups and relationship building. And it's funny how you'll go from just starting your calendar, and I can go back to when I started my calendar and there was nothing on it, scrolling back to 2017, and then 2018 started getting more activity, 2019. To today, it's like a cluster of colors of all different kinds and 3 different calendars on there from different emails, depending on if it's work or personal or it's an investor email. And I've got every single 15 minutes throughout the day accounted for. Yeah. And most of the time I'm going over on stuff and it never works out how I plan it, but no white space, no chance for anything destructive to come into my life. It's always positivity, growth, moving forward, goals, actions, and making sure that I'm just making the best of every single day. And as a father and a husband and a business owner, you have no other choice.
Yeah, 100%. I feel you there, man. I mean, when it comes to like being a father and having kids and running a business, you just have you kind of need to plan out your day. Otherwise everything kind of gets jumbled up, and whether you're missing time on work and you're missing out on opportunities at work because you're spending time with your kids, or you're missing out on time with your kids because you're so jumbled up with work. I mean, when I was young, my dad was so busy with work. When I lived in Memphis, he was so busy with work all the time, and you just start to see it deteriorate in people. And I'm glad I got to see that when I was younger, because now once I get to the point where I'm having kids, I know, hey, you need to be on top of this stuff so that you're giving the son or your daughter all the attention that they need and helping them.
And your spouse.
And your spouse, yeah.
You've got to be just as intentional about the time that you spend with them as you do at work or anything else. They're as important or more important than anything.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of people's personal lives and relationships deteriorate.
Just go out longer?
Yeah. Yeah, you can stretch it out too.
There we go. That might be better for them. There we go.
So I like that, man. You're all working in the right direction. So the notebook, starting to work with the calendar, the gym, the intentional time every day to do your affirmations, your visualizations, your reading, spending time with Brooke.
Yeah. That's
how you keep leveling up. Because not only do you have to be efficient and effective as a contributor to the team at JKR Windows, it's just it's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Like it can't just be one thing. You got to be good at all these things.
Yeah. Well, I'm damn good at that. I'm good at everything I do.
Yes, and he's humble as well, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Never humble.
So what are some of your goals, man? I've heard some rumblings around JKR Windows about the future of Ty Ross and his contribution as a leader, and I'm curious to see what you want to do.
So like goals when it comes to work, or just like everything?
Yeah, everything.
Well, I guess the biggest goal of my life, I love having an impact on people. I want to be remembered when I die. For years after I die, I want to have made such an impact on whether it's my family, where, I am a known name in my family that 4 generations from now, they know about great-great-grandfather Ty Ross. Yeah.
You are the one.
And then on top of that, just like people in my life, I just love having an impact on people in my life. I love knowing that I made someone's life better, whether it was one day or one moment, which is another cool thing that we get to do on the doors is I get to bring myself. And if you don't know me, I'm freaking awesome. I get to bring myself to everybody that lives in a neighborhood, and they get a little piece of Ty Ross. And, of course, like with the business the way it is, like not everybody is going to be as receptive to it, but every once in a while, like maybe once a day or, 3 or 4 times a week, I run into somebody and they're like, like, thanks for stopping by my house. Like, I really enjoyed this talk with you. I mean, dude, I'm buddies with some people up in Logan now from my work, over in Vernal. Like, I still talk to one of my customers up in Logan pretty much on a weekly basis. So we kind of connected when it came to soccer.
No kidding.
And some other things. So it's just kind of cool, man. Like, that's kind of like my biggest goal in life. But other than that, of course, I want to have my wife. I want to be the best husband I can be. I want to have kids. Growing up, I always wanted a little brother. Never got one. So now my next goal is you're going to have a son and he's going to be a little mini Ty Ross. Wow. And hopefully I make him better than me, which is hard to do, but I'm sure I'll figure out a way.
If he's raised by you, there's a pretty strong chance. One of the things that I attribute a lot of my success to is being raised by 2 incredible parents that instilled just so much confidence in me.
Yeah.
Just because of who they were and how much they believed and loved me, and the constant messaging that I got from them about what I was capable of and who I was meant to be and born to be, and all of this natural ability that I had. And whether I had it or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
They believed in me so much that it made me believe that there was incredible things possible for me, and it's transitioned and translated into so many incredible things in my life. Yeah. And that's one of the most awesome things about being a parent, is it truly is like this huge responsibility that my parents may or may not even have known that they were doing that, and that they were that good just naturally at doing that. Yeah. But being exposed to it, and now as a parent, knowing the impact that we can make, we've got so much more access to media and content and education to be able to be better, that we can now apply these things intentionally and not just like on accident.
Yeah. And I don't know about you growing up with your parents. My parents were like both perfect opposites. Like my dad was like the hard ass dad that like, he was obviously so supportive of me growing up, like playing soccer. He loved watching me play soccer, and that was his thing. But my dad was the hard ass. He's like, dude, I don't care what you do. Just freaking do it, man. Like, do it good. Like, he taught me my work ethic. I got my work ethic from my dad 100%. And then there's my mom. My mom's just the absolute sweetheart. Just loved the absolute hell out of me and just supported me. Like, even in my tough times in college. I had
a very similar upbringing.
Yeah. Even in college, man, I was getting straight A's, but I was being a little POS. And, she's very supportive of, look, Ty, like, I love you, but like, it hurts to see you like this. Like, you're better than that type of thing. And being a mama's boy, that kind of
make her proud, huh?
I had to make mama proud. And, kind of got my life on track. I lost track of it again eventually down the line, but
it happens.
Parents are a big motivation with that. And so one of the sad things in life is not everybody has that, but the fact is, you can be that. That's the cool thing is, I know people who had very terrible parents that they didn't really have the best influence on their life. And so they took it upon themselves to never be like their parent. And now they're the best parents in the world, or preparing to be the best parents in the world. That's cool, a beautiful thing.
It's a cool opportunity.
You have that ability to create.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing, being a dad.
Yeah.
We just, the other day, went to do a daddy-daughter day. Sometimes I do it individually. I got 2 girls. We'll do one at a time. Sometimes they're getting along and they'll decide they want to do it together. So we did like a whole day together, and the girls got along great. And there's so many opportunities for little lessons, and they'll bicker a little bit and they'll get into arguments, and then it's like, whew, here's my spot. Like, here's a lesson right here. And in this, like, am I going to be prepared to give them the right lessons along the way in the books that I'm reading and the things that I'm doing in my own personal life to help mold them into productive members of society and strong and like confident women. Yeah.
Well, just from my experience with them when we went to your house, your daughter's got a lot of personality for how old they are. Like, usually like young girls like that are pretty shy, obviously, unless they're around family. But I was at your house and we were eating breakfast, and they came in all tired and they're all yippity and skippity. And then they came into the office, like, what was it? Like 2 weeks later, and they're like, hi, Ty. Like, they just got a lot of energy. Amazing. It's kind of cool to see,
It's amazing.
Your kids are on the right track. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate that.
Was it your son? That's 17, right? 17. Is he a little bit quieter than the girls?
He's a little bit quieter. Yep. I've been raising him since he was 3 years old, and he's now 17. So for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
And he's such a great kid, and he is pretty outgoing, and he's well spoken, and he's confident. But my girls are definitely they come from my bloodline.
Yeah.
They're a little bit different. They're a little bit more outgoing, energetic, forward, confident. And not that my son isn't, but he's a little bit more reserved.
Reserved, for sure.
And he's a teenager. He's trying to figure himself out and where his place is. And he's got a lot of insecurities. He's not excited about growing up.
Well, who is, man?
I know, dude. I remember those stages too, talking to my girlfriend one day, and I was kind of getting emotional and telling her about these feelings I was having about growing up and responsibility and getting a job. And she just like put me in my place. I would never forget that, dude. I feel like a little bitch. Because it is, dude. There's like this transition that you go through where you've got to now start looking at some real responsibilities. Yeah. Like, dad's not going to buy shit for me anymore. And, mom's like pushing me to go do responsible stuff. And it's like, this is uncomfortable. And that's kind of where my son is right now.
Well, that's kind of a cool thing too about, back to goals. I mean, starting with goals when you're younger are, it's kind of something that they don't really talk about with kids. I feel like these days, like the younger generation, I mean, all they teach you is graduate high school and go to college. Like, they don't really teach you to, hey, have some like goals for yourself. And that's kind of like another cool thing that I've started since I've worked here. You guys have really implemented that of, hey, these are your goals for the week. This is your goals for the day. These are your goals for the month. These are your goals for the year. And, there's just so much opportunity in that. So back to your question, when it comes to work, man, I just kind of the same thing when it comes to like the life goal that I have. I want to leave an impact on the company that I'm working at. Whether I'm here at JKR for the next however long it is, or if I start my own company in the next 5 years, like who knows what it is. Point is I want to be I want to be a leader, man. Like I want to be able to inspire people to do great things. I think everybody's capable of great things, and there's just something mentally that holds them back from it. And I like to be the one to break that mental barrier, whether it's socially or, economically, whatever it is.
100%.
A lot of people have that barrier, and I want to be the one that breaks those barriers for people.
And if you notice, I was just talking about like this feeling I have about, am I worthy? Am I going to be prepared? Am I going to have the message when the time comes to be able to offer that value to my kids? And the same applies in business. And every time you walk through those doors, you've got an opportunity to make an impact on people's lives. In the way that you show up, your attitude, your mentality, your belief systems, your opinions, how well you can manage some of the emotional shit you got going on in your life, and to show up with just one goal when you're in front of your team to add value and positivity and growth and give all the recognition and just amazing energy that you possibly can. And you do an amazing job of that. Yeah. And that's one thing. And that's why I asked, because I know you have so much to contribute and you're just barely getting started on this leadership journey. And I encourage you to keep leveling up and asking how you can do more and what's the next level for you and how you contribute. How do you get more involved with mentoring and training and coaching, and every opportunity, every rep that you get to do that helps you solidify all that information within yourself and then add a ton of value to somebody else's life.
Yeah. I think a cool thing that everybody can do, aside from leadership, and something that I've always took upon myself, every single job I've had, and it's always worked out well for me, is make others around you enjoy work. Like my last job, man, I was doing construction. We'd show up at 4 a.m. and it was just, for lack of better words, terrible dog shit.
It's a little bit monotonous.
Yeah. And I took it upon myself that, hey, these guys are coming in here at 4 a.m. Everybody's like half awake. Come in there with some energy, man. Like make somebody laugh in the morning. Make them enjoy coming to work. If you can make your coworkers enjoy coming to work, you know how much that does for the workspace. I mean, does. Morale is a huge thing. Now, if you're able to just build morale on a daily basis, I mean, dude, that's exponential.
It is.
What it does for the company.
And it's actually one of our team expectations. So people contribute in a lot of different ways. Yeah. But contribute to the team is one of our 5 top expectations. Because for anybody to come in here and take away from the environment takes away from everybody. Yeah. So, exactly. And not everybody has the energy and enthusiasm that you do, but everybody can contribute some way to come add energy and positivity. And, whether it's just from like an excitement standpoint, which sometimes you're great at, but also just encouraging and recognition and giving somebody a shout out and making them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
These are all really cool ways that you can contribute to your team and create a great culture and environment for you to succeed in. Mm-hmm. And also for other people to come in and see that they can have a place here, that they can feel good and excited about showing up to every day.
And I gotta say, this job makes it a little bit easier to enjoy showing up every day. Just the culture, like in and of itself, like everybody here wants to win. Yep. Everybody wants each other to win. Like a little example of that. I mean, it's obviously there's a little bit of like a north-south rivalry that goes on. Yeah. Like I know for me, man, I've been here for almost 5 months, and man, I'm hungry to just absolutely crush the South. Like I feel like I put in all the work because I'm tired of losing, man. Like you can be top in your office for 4 months straight, but if you're not bringing your office to the top, then
yeah,
I don't know. That ain't winning all the way to me.
Yeah, I think it's just a good example of where you're at, just from the beginning levels of leadership of wanting to help everybody level up. Mm-hmm. A rising tide raises all ships. And when you've got that kind of mentality and it kind of exudes out into the rest of the team,
yeah,
then everybody's got this mentality of how can I contribute, how can I help, and who's needing help, and how do we be more effective with our training, because we want everybody to win here.
Yeah.
And we know that everybody has an opportunity to come in and win.
Yep.
Now, how can we contribute to the environment, the culture, and our processes and our training to give everybody a better chance?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Isn't that good?
I think I talked to James about this when we were on the way to that Vivint thing that we were doing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot
that was
of people,
at the Jazz?
Yeah. On the way
Jazz
there.
Arena?
What was that?
Oh no, go ahead.
On the way there, we were kind of like brainstorming ways to, because I found, in just my experience, I found the most times I see someone explode when it comes to success is when they hit their rock bottom. Like when they have no other option but to succeed. And like some of the videos that we watch in the morning, they talk about that. They're like, where is your rock bottom? When have you had enough? When are you going to put in the work type thing? Yeah. So we're kind of like brainstorming some ideas of how do you instill that same mentality of
without having to have somebody hit the rock bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. How do I make somebody feel like they have no other choice but to go out there and just bust ass without, taking away a family member or taking away all their money, something like that. Like what is it that motivates people that much? And I think that'd be a cool thing for us to kind of implement when it comes to the training. Yeah. Maybe that's something that we could brainstorm on implementing into people.
Dude, those are like the secrets of the universe that all sales leadership wish they had the answer to.
Right, man.
Because it is, dude. Because for me to get out of where I was to reach the level of success that I knew that I was capable of, I had to hit a rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I was just skating by for so long. And there was a sequence of events and really low lows in my life that led me to some of those decisions that started helping me work the other direction.
You and I both, brother.
Yeah, but then it's like I don't want that for somebody.
No.
I mean, you don't want that type of shit that I had to go through to get up and out of my place of sorrow to be able to start seeing success. Yeah. So how do we create that? And it's a combination of having a great culture and environment, and then developing yourself as a leader, because the definition of a leader is somebody who inspires somebody to do something that they wouldn't normally have done by themselves. Mm-hmm. And our goal with this business is to develop leaders and to build an incredible organization that inspires people to come in here and do something that they wouldn't have normally done without being exposed to this type of culture.
Yeah. And
then those other answers, dude, if we can figure out the answers to those, we could become billionaires.
Yeah. It's game over.
That is game over type of stuff right there. To be able to inspire people to such a high level that it emulates some kind of catastrophic event and a rock bottom.
Yeah.
The other thing about that is you and I are an example of somebody who maybe hit a rock bottom and some serious lows, but use it as fuel to accelerate and to like make up time. Not everybody does that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will hit a rock bottom and then they just wallow in their shit.
Yeah.
And they blame everybody for what happened.
Feel sorry for themselves.
And it just makes it worse. Mm-hmm. So the trick is, if you're watching this, that if you've had some of these low lows and you're trying to find the answer to what's the next level, you have 100% control of what your outcomes are.
Yep.
And it all is determined by how you respond. Me and Ty responded a little bit differently than some people would. And I hit several rock bottoms. I responded differently at each one. And finally, enough was enough. I wasn't going to tolerate that lifestyle anymore. Yep. And there was a different response that time to create a different outcome.
Yeah.
And you've got an opportunity to create different outcomes because you've got to take 100% responsibility for everything in your life.
Yep.
No matter what happens, what the results are, where your income's at, what your activity is like. It's not the customers. It's not the area. It's not the fucking government or the president it's nothing but you.
All you. Can't, what's the saying? Like, it's basically like, can't blame others for your lack of success. Can't remember what the actual phrase is.
Yeah.
But you just have to rely on yourself.
So I heard Eric Thomas say one time, you can't get upset about the results that you didn't get for the work that you didn't put in.
Eric Thomas is awesome.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Listen to a lot of Eric Thomas in the mornings.
Yeah, you're right, dude. You got to be willing to put in the work. There's nobody to point the finger at except for you.
Yeah. Hey, and what it takes is go work a construction job where you work from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. Yeah. Go do that for a year. And
got to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I was just not going to go back down another similar path with drugs and alcohol and destructive behaviors.
No.
But I had to start somewhere, and it was at the bottom, and I had to work my way up out of there and build confidence and belief in myself. And everybody has the same opportunities. Yeah. And, I heard this really cool concept too about what fear and faith have in common besides the letter F. What do you think it is?
Fear and faith.
They have something
They're all
in common.
In your head, probably.
So yeah, it has something to do with just this outcome that's in the future that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And one is based on positivity and growth and progress, and the other one is based on just a bunch of unknown possibilities that may not ever happen. But it's the same type of concept. Like both of them are based on this possibility of something happen. One's just positive and one's negative.
Yeah.
And you have complete control over whether you live your life in fear or you live your life in faith. And you believe that different things are possible for you now. And you start building confidence and building some momentum in your life. And even if you got to start at a construction job and start just being a guy of integrity and showing up on time and doing what you say you're going to do and doing some high quality work and having attention to detail, that is a step in your road to another level.
And on top of that, like a little point that you just touched on there of like showing up on time, and like those are the little wins. All those little wins just stack up. Like
they do.
If you start off your morning and you miss your alarm, you started off your day with a loss. And then on top of that, you show up.
And it dings your confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And then you show up to work late, and then, you
dings your confidence again.
Yeah.
Like these are all little dings against your confidence. Every time that you said you were going to do something and you don't do it.
Yeah. So you start off your day with 5 losses in a row. You're thinking, oh crap, this is a loss of a day. Or you wake up in the morning, you wake up on time, you actually get yourself out of bed, you beat that little voice in your head that's saying, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. And you say, no, I'm getting up, man. You beat that voice, you did your workout, you beat that, awesome. You showed up to work on time, you beat that, okay? You just had a good, nice little jump start. You're super excited for the day, you're ready to work, you go out there, you've already got 3 wins under your belt. And then you go and talk to people or whatever it is you do in your line of work, and the little losses, like, okay, well, I've already won some today. Like, I'm going to keep winning more. It's a momentum thing. And I think it just works just as strong the opposite way. If you start off with losses,
it'll build on negativity and more losses.
Yeah.
And it's, I think one thing that people struggle with too is it doesn't have to all shift in one day. Like you're not just going to go from being somebody who struggled with commitments and integrity and doing what you say you're going to do, and then all of a sudden flip a switch and decide that you're going to be this other version of yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
Like you have to start with these little things. Like for me, it was the very first one that I remember was getting up early when I said I was going to get up. I was going to beat the sun up. Yeah. And for a couple of weeks, I was hit and miss. And it was, it dinged my confidence. Yeah. And I was getting down on myself. But I had to just stick with it, not get too down on myself and make some progress and start building consistency. And after I started getting up before 9 o'clock in the morning, I was like, man, this feels pretty good. Like I'm finally doing something that I said I was going to do when nobody's watching, like nobody's even paying attention, and I'm still doing it. It feels freaking great. Now I'm going to start reading a little bit more. And it was the same type of progress that I had to go through. Like I got down on myself. I didn't do it all that consistent. And now it's just turned into years and years and years of battling with myself, overcoming, not getting too far down on myself, and just tacking on more discipline, more habits until days turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years.
Well, and the best part about it too is once you start tackling all those things on a daily basis, and then it turns into a month straight of doing it, and then it's 2 months straight, and then it's 6 months straight, and then it's a year straight. Well, now it's not even a battle. That's just a part of who you are. That's just what you do.
And have you read Atomic Habits?
We did. Yeah, that was another really good one.
Yes, I can hear the lingo coming out when you're talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it starts to become just like an automatic response. Like you don't have to think about it anymore. Those battles still happen, but now it's such a habit that the likelihood of you not doing it is very small. Like getting out of bed in the morning, going to the gym, eating healthy, talking to yourself in a positive way versus negative. Those are all habits that we have control over. And then what's cool is every new habit that we build and solidify makes room for another habit once it's been solidified. Because now it's not like you...
Or new practice.
Yeah. New awareness, new practice, new perspective. Like how can I get even better at this?
1%
this habit
better every day.
Because the flip side of that is that for you to start developing new productive habits and develop discipline in your life, something's got to go. Like you got to make room in your life for these positive things. Yeah. And one of the things I see people struggle with a lot is the negative self-talk, the self-sabotage, and the, like just the doom and gloom type of mentality. Yeah. That you have to recognize that you've got going on, and you got to slowly just tune that shit out. Like get better at just tuning it out, because you got to make room for positivity and growth and productivity and these new habits that you got to implement in your life. So the sound, like the background noise, just gets quieter and quieter as you develop those disciplines.
Becomes harder to hear and harder to hear, and eventually you just...
Yeah.
Like I'm at the point...
It's still there.
Yeah, I'm almost at the point where I don't even have those like negative thoughts anymore. Yeah. And I think that's definitely came from practice of confidence. Like if I'm putting in the work, like obviously I kept having more and more success. Yep. And so eventually I'm like, well, you can't fail. Like you're doing everything right. Like eventually it's kind of like the law of averages type thing. Like, okay, things are kind of bad right now, but that just means it's like a slingshot, man. The further you pull that thing back and it gets shittier and shittier and shittier, it's like, well, boom, this is fucking awesome right here. Yeah,
your ability to make progress gets better and better and better as these discipline and habits get better in your life. And it is, dude. It's like, people talk about in school and things, all these thoughts of over time, your ability to earn income just slowly progresses. But that's complete bullshit. Yeah. Complete bullshit. Because what happens is you, like you were saying, you build up all this momentum and you're pulling back that slingshot and you're like waiting for something to happen. You're believing it's possible. You've built all this momentum and confidence in your abilities, and you keep delivering on what you said you were going to do over and over and over, to all of a sudden, boom, you hit this big hockey stick effect.
Oh yeah.
And your income takes these huge jumps.
Yep.
Just like you experienced in this last year. Like a big possibility of an income jump. And now, inevitably we start to taper off again. We get a little comfortable and then we start pulling back that slingshot again. And for the right type of person, you recognize when you get complacent and comfortable and you're taking it a little easy, you're making more money than you've ever made. And it's time to turn it up again. Like, where do I have room to improve on these things? How can I get better? Where do I up level as a communicator, as a leader, to add more value?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting ready for another big fucking hockey stick event.
Well, another cool thing to look at it like with that too is like, think of it as like the gym. So like if you're only if your lats are only so strong that you can pull back like 130, right? Well, as you keep doing that, right, you keep having those failures and you keep bouncing back. You put in those reps, it's getting stronger. So now as you're going further back, this is as far back as you used to go, and you're only going to shoot that forward. Well, now you're stronger. You've had those reps in.
Yep.
You got more practice. You're pulling it back further, and so that those bounces are always way, way better. And it's funny too, because I talked to Jared about that last month, maybe like a month and a half ago. I had like a really bad week, or like a week and a half, where I had like a very, very successful week, and then just the next week and a half was just nothing. And so I called him. I was like, look, man, like I know you got a lot when it comes to mentality and the motivation and mindset. Like, I need some advice. This is what's going on. And he's like, oh man, like you've got this. Like this happens. This is the nature of the business.
Yeah.
What's happening is you're on that pullback type thing. You're on the pullback.
Being tested. Yeah.
Yeah, and he gave me the example of like Andreas, and Andreas had like a bad month or whatever, where, you know, it was like 20 something deals that didn't close, and he was super down on himself. And then all of a sudden, like the next month, he just broke a record, and like absolutely.
He just kept doing the right things.
Yeah.
He kept his attitude in check. He was asking for advice just like you were, because he knew that this was the right place for him. And he didn't necessarily know that he was being tested. You didn't necessarily know that you're being tested in those moments, because it's kind of frustrating. There's a lot of emotions involved. And it's like there's like all this urgency, and now it's turning into like I'm kind of desperate also. But you're being tested. Like every one of these things that challenges you, that's the most uncomfortable, is testing you, and it's molding you into a better version of yourself if you choose to respond the right way.
Yeah. Cool. Another cool little saying. One of my best friends taught me this in high school. Everything is a lesson or a blessing. And so like all the mistakes you think you're making, all the failures you think you're having, they're supposed to make you stronger. I mean, it's kind of cliche to say like, you know, like everything that bad happening to you makes you stronger.
100%.
But it's true, man. Like you learn from your mistakes, and you just get better and better and better. And the next time you come up with that obstacle, you've already seen that obstacle, man. You already know like, this is what I got to do this time. And then if that doesn't work, well, now you know two things that don't work. So you don't do them again, and you try the next best thing. And
and then if you do, it's your own damn fault. But if you think about all of the most challenging stuff that you've been through, whether it was those moments when you let your parents down and you were feeling shameful, or you just created a huge freaking problem for yourself and you're making a phone call from jail, you know, I've had all these, and those were the most memorable moments, because of how I chose to respond. And I didn't necessarily recognize it as a blessing in those moments, or a lesson in those moments. But I look back at all the big changes of trajectory in my life, and the big moments that helped me make big decisions and get uncomfortable and go to the next level. And they were right after all the most shit that I created for myself. All the toughest, most uncertain times created the most results for me.
No, 100%. Same. Every time I look back, I think about it all the time. I sent in a video the other day talking about that, man. I was like, there's a song that came on or something. I was listening to something, or I watched something, and I just like remembered the mind state I was in when I heard that song, or when that video happened, whatever it was. And I was just like, it was like such an awakening moment. And I was like, wow, like think of what happened right after this. Like, what changed in you? Like, what did this do to you? Am I going to sit and wallow on it? Like, oh my God, I did this, or wow, this happened to me. No, I was like, wow.
I mean, it's okay to have it happen for a second. We're at where we're at.
Yeah.
And we've got to deal with it. And it's, you know, we're just human, because I know I've gotten pretty down on myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you felt that too, but it's temporary. Like, this is temporary. I did it to myself. Like, you can either sit here and wallow and make it an excuse, or just take it as a lesson and make progress because of it, and let that feeling go as quick as possible. Yeah. This was awesome, brother. I appreciate you making the time to come in today and taking away from your busy schedule.
I know, dude.
Out there slinging deals.
I know.
And thank y'all for checking into another episode of Just Real Quick. I think we'll leave you with just a final message, that if you are at a place in your career, in your life, in your relationship, where you're hitting a low, where you're running into the most challenging stuff that you've ever dealt with, You can either look at it one of two ways. You can sit there and wallow in it, or you can take it as a lesson, or a blessing. I love that. Appreciate you, Ty.
Yeah, of course, brother. Thanks for having me.
All right, y'all. Like, subscribe to the Just Real Quick podcast. Thank you for checking in. We'll see you next time.